Welcome to the deep dive. Sometimes you stumble across a piece of gear, looks simple, maybe wasn't around for long, but it turns out to be, well, massively important.
Absolutely. Like a hidden cornerstone.
Exactly. And that's the story today. The BUSS FT2 dynamic filter.
Ah, the FC2.
It was only made for, 3 years? 86 to 89?
Something like that, yeah. A really short window.
Looks like your standard little BUSS pedal, but trust me, it's a big deal historically. So our mission today is to really dive into why this analog pedal became such a sleeper classic, and maybe more importantly, how it basically sketched out the blueprint for all the multi-mode pedals we see everywhere now. It was way ahead of its time in terms of flexibility. We need to unpack that.
Yeah, and it helps to just quickly define what we mean by a dynamic filter or auto wah, right?
Good point.
It's basically an effect where the filter responds to how loud you play, your input signal, the envelope. Hit it hard, the filter sweeps more.
Right, the classic wah sound, but without rocking your foot.
Exactly. But the FT2, it did more. It was this bridge. It took the simple concept from earlier analog filters, like the BUSS TW1 touch wah,
Okay, I know that one.
and it added a whole layer of sophistication. It really set the stage for the later digital ones like the ADW2, ADW3, and honestly, even today's complex stuff.
So what was the absolute killer feature, the main hook for the FT2? What made it different right out of the gate?
It was the dual control. That was the big innovation. It was one of the very first BOSS compacts where you could have the filter react to your playing that envelope thing, or you could plug in an expression pedal and sweep it manually.
Ah, okay, so it could be an auto wah or a regular wah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
An electronically controlled wah, which was cleaner and more reliable. That double identity, that's really why it's legendary.
Okay, let's dig into that shift then. Moving from the TW1's simplicity to the FT2, adding voltage-controlled filtering VCF and that expression jack, it sounds like BUSS was thinking, okay, some players want more control.
Definitely. They were betting that some people would trade that simple plug-and-play approach for, well, total control, which, for a compact pedal in the mid-'80s, was actually kind of bold.
Yeah, seems like it.
And if you look at the bigger BUSS picture, this whole idea, multiple functions in one small box, it really set a new standard.
Right.
Before the FT2, you generally bought an auto wah pedal or a big clunky mechanical wah. This thing sort of merged them.
Okay.
And that whole concept, offering different modes, maybe switching how a parameters controlled envelope, LFO, expression, that all traces back to pedals like this. It's the ancestor.
And the nuts and bolts, fully analog, standard BUSS, box, 9-volt power. But the key is that 1/4-inch TRS jack for the expression pedal, right?
Exactly right. That TRS jack is the gateway to the manual mode. And yeah, it's all analog. And that short production run, 86 to 89, that's why it's kind of rare and sought after now.
The perfect storm for collectors. Good features, not many made.
Precisely. Overlooked then, highly valued now.
Okay, we have to talk about the sound itself, the engine inside. Because features are one thing, but the tone. It's a fully analog, voltage-controlled filter using OTA tech, operational transconductance amplifiers.
That's the one. Chips like the CA3080 or the LM43600 series, that's the heart of it.
Right, lots of letters and numbers. What does that actually mean for the sound? Is that why it has that warm, liquidy, almost synth-like vibe people talk about? Is it smoother?
Yeah, you got it. The OTA is key to that fluidity. That's the technical difference. Some older filter circuits used optical parts, light bulb and a resistor.
Yeah, photocells.
Right. And those can be a bit sluggish sometimes, or kind of uneven in their response. The OTA design in the FT2 was way faster, cleaner, much more consistent.
Okay.
And crucially, the envelope tracking how it follows your picking dynamics was much more linear. So where an older pedal might kind of stutter or struggle to keep up if you play fast, the FT2 gives you this really smooth musical sweep. It really follows your playing, but without sounding, too polite. It's still got character.
That makes a lot of sense. The smoothness comes from the chip's speed and accuracy. Okay, so we know it has this distinct, warm, vowel-y tone. How do you actually dial it in? The controls, 4 knobs, 1 switch. Let's start with sensitivity and peak. They seem important for the character.
Yeah, sensitivity is your main interaction point. It basically sets how much your playing dynamics trigger the filter sweep. Low sensitivity means subtle movement.
Right.
Crank it up, and even light picking creates these big dramatic sweeps.
Yeah.
It's your responsiveness control, really.
And peak. That sounds like the resonance, the Q factor. If sensitivity is how much it sweeps, peak is how, sharper, pointy, that sweep sound.
Exactly. Higher peak gives you a sharper, more resonant, almost vocal quality. That classic quack sound.
Okay, for funk stuff.
Yeah, perfect for funk. Or you can dial the peak back for a smoother, more liquidy, synth-like filter sound. Less aggressive.
Gotcha. Then there's the manual knob. Now, if it's mostly an auto wah, why manual?
Well, the manual knob is specifically for when you're not using the auto modes. So you've got an expression pedal plugged in. Okay. In that mode, the manual knob sets the filter's sort of baseline cutoff frequency. Think of it like setting the heel down position on your virtual wah pedal. It sets the range.
Right. And then the star of the show, the mode switch. This is the magic button, up, down, or manual.
That's where all the versatility comes from. 3 distinct pedals in one, almost.
Okay, let's break down those modes then. What do they actually do? What are the use cases?
They're really different. So up mode is your classic auto wah sound. You play a note, the filter sweeps up from low to high frequency.
Brightens up.
Yeah, it gives you that bright, sometimes aggressive, quacky attack. Think clean funk rhythm playing, maybe some fusion lead lines. That's the territory.
Standard stuff, but probably sounds great with that OTA circuit.
Exactly. Very smooth and responsive. Then you flick the switch to down mode.
And everything goes backwards.
Totally. The filter sweeps down from high to low as the signal gets louder, gets darker. This was much more unusual back in '86.
Yeah, I can imagine. What would you use that for?
It's great for more experimental sounds, atmospheric stuff, ambient swells, or think about synth bass lines, getting that kind of wop sound.
Oh, okay. Like a closing filter.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds almost like a reversed effect. Very moody, think Pink Floyd textures, maybe sound design stuff. It's quite dramatic.
Now, quick question. If this OTA tech is so clean and consistent, does it maybe lose some of that raw, sometimes kind of sloppy character people like an older optical wahs? Is it maybe too smooth for someone wanting vintage grit?
That's a fair question.
Yeah.
It is cleaner and more consistent than, say, an old Maestro Boomerang or something. But the OTA design still has this inherent analog warmth. Doesn't sound sterile. And you can get aggression by cranking that peak control. So you have control over the character rather than the circuit just being inherently a bit messy. The FT2's liquid smooth motion is its signature sound. It's different, not necessarily better or worse, just different.
Got it. And finally, the mode that really cemented its cult status, manual mode.
This is the game changer for money. In manual mode, the envelope follower is completely shut off. The filter's position is controlled only by an external expression pedal, like a Roland EV5.
So it becomes a true wah pedal.
A true electronically controlled wah pedal. And because it's voltage controlled, there's no mechanical pot to get scratchy or wear out like in a traditional wah.
So it's silent switching and probably more reliable long term.
Exactly. Super stable, great for precise, continuous control over the filter sweep.
Okay, so let's talk trade-offs. The big one seems obvious. For manual mode, you absolutely need that external expression pedal, right?
You do. No way around it. Which means your setup instantly gets a bit more complex, maybe more expensive than just plugging into a simpler pedal like the TW1.
So it demanded a bit more from the player. You had to commit to this setup.
Yeah, definitely. So if we kind of boil down the pros, the reasons people love the FT2.
What are they?
You get that genuine, warm, analog OTA tone.
What?
You get a filter range that's really tight and controllable. It's super expressive, very musical response. And the absolute key, that dual operation, envelope filter or expression-controlled wah, all in one standard BOS box.
Yeah, that combo is powerful. It really feels like a pivotal moment in pedal design. Taking dynamic filtering, adding manual control, putting it all together in one compact unit. Super forward thinking for the mid-'80s.
Totally.
And that flexibility plus the sound quality, that's why it hit cult status, right? The granddaddy of multi-mode pedals, in a way.
I think that's fair to say. Oh, and one final technical point. This is true for pretty much any envelope filter.
Go on.
The performance, how well it tracks your playing, can really depend on your signal.
Like how hot your pickups are.
Exactly. Pickup output matters. And also where you place it in your signal chain. Sometimes, if it's not tracking quite right, it might just need a cleaner, stronger signal hitting it.
So maybe put a buffer or a clean boost before it. Or move it earlier in the chain.
Yeah, experiment with that. It's not usually a fault of the pedal itself, just the nature of getting that sensitive OTA circuit, the signal it needs to work its magic smoothly.
Good tip. So looking back at the FT2, what does it really teach us about gear design?
I think it shows how that specific analog warmth from that OTA circuit combined with genuine flexibility, those 3 distinct modes, creates something with real lasting value. Even though digital stuff came along pretty quickly and maybe offered more features on paper, the sound and the feel of the FT2 keep it relevant. It gave you 3 really usable, distinct sounds in one box, but you had to bring your own expression pedal to get the most out of it.
It demanded interaction.
It did.
Yeah.
Which leads to a final thought, maybe something for you, the listener, to chew on based on what we've discussed.
The FT2 offered 3 quite different effects. Up auto wah, downsynth filter, manual wah, all from this pretty sophisticated analog VCFOD circuit. So does true versatility and maybe lasting value and effects come from that kind of technical analog complexity like the FT2 had? Or does it lie more in the digital simplicity that eventually followed, offering maybe more options but with a less physical setup required? Where's the sweet spot?